Folly. It's the third day with no airstrikes, with no barrel bombs. There's some sporadic artillery fire across front lines in the south of the province. But that's it. And I think reading between the lines, we can read that Turkey has been given more time to work out some form of deal on the ground with the groups. Of course, it is the guarantor of the armed groups on the ground in Idlib. The sticking point, particularly the group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, formerly known as the Nusra Front, and believed by Russia, the US, UN, and others to be linked to al-Qaeda. Regardless of this offensive not having started in full, Folly, the psychological impact on the people certainly has. People are worried. People are expecting something to happen at some point. There has already been displacement, as you mentioned. And one man we spoke to recently, he was fleeing those southern areas when there was that bombardment, said that he didn't feel there was anywhere safe to go because he felt that the offensive would come and would consume the entire province.
We heard a call from the United Nations Humanitarian Coordinator today, Stephanie, for facilities, hospitals, schools in Idlib to be protected. Is that feasible? Just how difficult is it going to be to separate, civilians from the fighters that the Syrian government would be going after?
Well, there's a couple of issues with that. Yes, there's been a lot of concern expressed by the fact that the fighters are in these cities, in heavily populated cities. I mean, Staffan de Mistura, the UN Special Envoy to Syria, called for the fighters to leave. There have been various calls for the fighters to leave. I think that is sort of unrealistic. There's calls for the what they call terrorist groups to distance themselves, separate themselves from other groups. It's going to be incredibly difficult how this is all going to play out, Folly. The numbers that the UN is talking about, at worst case scenario, expecting almost 1 million people to flee, 900,000, 700,000 of those expected to go into opposition areas. And the only area, as you saw from that map earlier, is just to the north, which is pretty much under Turkey's control, groups that Turkey supports. Turkey's going to keep its borders closed. People
of Syria bordering Turkey, it's the last rebel stronghold, as you can see in green, almost completely surrounded by Syrian government territory in red. The province is strategically important because on the one side, it shares the border with the province of Latakia, which is where the biggest Russian airbase in Syria is. And on the other side, as you can see, it borders Turkey. Also, the strategic M5 highway, the main access road to the north of Syria, passes through Idlib.